You know, people come into my shop all the time with things they think are junk. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're sitting on a gold mine and don't even know it. It's the same with coins. You might think that all the valuable stuff is locked away in some collector's vault or a museum. That's just not true. Every day, millions of dollars in rare and valuable coins are passed from hand to hand, completely unnoticed. They're in your pocket change, in the cash register at the corner store, and sitting in dusty old jars in your grandpa's garage. It's a treasure hunt that's happening all around you every single day. So, how does this happen? Why would a coin worth thousands of dollars still be floating around for a quarter? It's simple. Really. Most people just don't know what to look for. Over the years, collections get broken up, inheritances get spent, and old piggy banks get cracked open. Someone might inherit a jar of old change from their grandmother, assume it's just face value, and take it to the bank. The bank then puts those coins right back into circulation. It's a cycle. A coin from the 1940s made of silver can end up in a roll of quarters you get for laundry. It's a numbers game, and the odds are better than you think. Think about the sheer volume of coins out there. The US Mint has been making them for over 200 years. Mistakes happen at the mint, creating error coins that are instantly valuable. Some years, they just didn't make that many of a certain coin, making them rare. And before 1965, our dimes, quarters, and half dollars were made of 90% silver. A lot of that silver was melted down, but a surprising amount is still out there, just waiting for someone with a sharp eye to pull it from the crowd. These aren't just pieces of metal, they are tiny pieces of history, and each one has a story. The best part about this hobby is that you don't need a lot of money to start. You don't need a fancy degree or expensive equipment. All you need is a little bit of knowledge and a lot of patience. It's about being curious enough to look at the change you get back from your morning coffee. It's about taking a second to check the dates and mint marks before you toss your coins into a jar. Anyone can do this. The treasure's out there, moving from person to person. The only question is, will you be the one to find it? That's the thrill of the hunt. Alright, so you're ready to start your hunt. Where do you look? The first and easiest place is your own pocket. Seriously. Every time you get change back, take 5 seconds to scan it. Look at the dates. Look for anything that seems unusual. It's the simplest habit to get into, and you never know what might turn up. I've heard stories of people finding rare coins in vending machine return slots. It sounds crazy, but it happens. Your daily transactions are the front line of your treasure hunt. Don't ever underestimate the power of looking at what you already have in your hand. The next level up is asking for coins at your bank. This is what a lot of serious hobbyists do. It's called coin roll hunting. You go to your bank and buy rolls of coins. Pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, you name it. You can buy a few rolls or a whole box. Then you take them home and search through them one by one. You're looking for those silver coins, the error coins, and the rare dates. When you're done, you take the coins you don't want back to a different bank. You don't want to annoy your own banker, and trade them in for cash to start all over again. It's a low-cost way to see thousands of coins. Don't forget about the old-school places either. Flea markets, garage sales, and antique shops are fantastic hunting grounds. People are always selling old coffee cans and mason jars full of coins. Most of the time, the seller hasn't gone through them and just wants to get rid of them for a few bucks over face value. This is where you can really score big. You're not just looking at coins from today, you're looking at coins someone saved 50 years ago. These forgotten stashes are often where the oldest and most interesting pieces are hiding, just waiting for someone to appreciate them. Finally, let your friends and family know you're a collector. Tell them you're looking for old or weird-looking coins. You'd be surprised how many people have a jar of change sitting around that they'd be happy to let you look through or even buy from them. My buddy Chumley is always finding stuff, because he's always talking to people. Be that person. Your network is a powerful tool. From the cashier at the grocery store to your own relatives, everyone is a potential source for your next great find. The more eyes you have looking, the better your chances. When you're searching through coins, you're basically looking for 3 main categories of treasure. The first one is error coins. The US Mint produces billions of coins a year, and sometimes, things go wrong. The machines might strike a coin twice, creating a doubled die effect. Sometimes 2 different coin dies are mismatched, like a penny design struck on a dime. These aren't fakes. They're genuine mistakes that escape the mint, and collectors go nuts for them. Finding an error coin is like finding a glitch in the system, and those glitches can be worth a lot of money because they are so unique and rare. The second category is silver coins. This is a simple one to remember. In the United States, all dimes, quarters, and half dollars made in 1964 or earlier are 90% silver. Nickels made during World War II, from 1942 to 1945, also contain silver. You can spot these war nickels by the large mint mark, P, D, or S, on the back, right above Monticello. With silver prices always fluctuating, these coins have a built-in metal value that will always be more than their face value. Finding a silver quarter in your change is like getting paid a few bucks instead of 25 cents. It's a guaranteed win every single time. The third category is low-mintage coins. Mintage refers to the number of coins produced by a specific mint in a specific year. In some years, for various reasons, the mint just didn't make a lot of a certain coin. A classic example is the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. Only 484,000 of them were made at the San Francisco Mint, which sounds like a lot, but it's tiny in the world of coins. These are known as key date coins. They are the rarest and most sought-after coins needed to complete a collection. Finding one is the holy grail for many collectors. You have to know your dates and mint marks to spot them. So, when you're looking, you need to have these three things in mind. Is it a mistake? Is it silver? Or is it just plain rare? Sometimes a coin can be more than one. You could find a low-mintage coin that also has a small error on it. That's when the value can really skyrocket. It's like a puzzle. You need to know what pieces you're looking for. Once you learn the basics of these three categories, you'll be able to spot a potentially valuable coin from a mile away. Knowledge is everything in this business. Let's talk about some of the big ones, the coins that every collector dreams of finding. These stories prove that incredible discoveries are still possible. Take the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent. At the mint, a die was accidentally struck twice, slightly offset, creating a strong doubling effect on all the letters in the date. You can see it clear as day without a magnifying glass. The mint noticed the error partway through the run and tried to destroy them, but thousands had already been mixed in with regular pennies and were released in cigarette packs sold on Air Force bases. Today, one of these in good condition can be worth over $1,000. People still find them in old penny jars. Then you have the king of modern error coins, the 1943 copper penny. During World War II, pennies were supposed to be made of zinc-coated steel to save copper for the war effort, but at the Philadelphia Mint, a few copper planchets, the blank discs, were accidentally left in the machine and struck with the 1943 date. It's believed that fewer than 20 of these exist. People have found them in their lunch money. One was discovered by a teenager in 1947 who held on to it for years. These coins sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. One even sold for over $1 million. It's the ultimate treasure. It's not just about pennies, either. In 1937, something went wrong with a die used to make buffalo nickels at the Denver Mint. One of the buffalo's legs was polished off the die, creating the famous three-legged buffalo nickel. This is an error that is easy to spot if you know to look for it. The front right leg of the buffalo on the back is just gone. These were just regular nickels that went into circulation all over the country. People spent them on jukeboxes and candy bars. Now finding one in your change could net you anywhere from $500 to over $1,000, depending on its condition. It's a perfect example of a valuable mistake. These stories aren't just legends, they are real. They are a reminder of what's hiding out there. The person who found that 1943 copper penny wasn't a professional numismatist with $1 million collection. He was a kid. These coins were found by accident, by people who were curious enough to look closer. That's the magic of it. Every handful of change could hold something historic. You just need to know the stories, because in my business, and in this hobby, the story is what gives an item its value, and you could be the one to find the next chapter. You don't have to find a coin from the 1940s to strike it rich. There are plenty of modern coins made within the last 20 or 30 years that are worth way more than face value. You just have to know what you're looking for. The State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008, is a great place to start. With billions of these quarters made, the Mint's quality control wasn't always perfect. This led to some really interesting and valuable errors that are still circulating today. They are out there, right now. in cash registers and coin-op laundromats all across the country. One of the most famous modern errors is the 2004 Wisconsin state quarter. Some of these quarters have what looks like an extra leaf on the ear of corn on the back. There's a high leaf version and a low leaf version. These were caused by a die flaw and are highly sought after by collectors. Depending on the condition and which leaf variant it is, these quarters can be worth anywhere from $50 to a few $100s. Think about that. A quarter you could get back from a soda machine could pay your electric bill. It's a perfect example of a modern treasure. Another one to watch for is the 2005 In God We Rust Kansas State quarter. On some of these quarters, a grease buildup in the die filled the letter T in the word trust. This resulted in the motto appearing to read, "In God We Rust." It's a funny and popular error that collectors love. While not as valuable as the Wisconsin Extra Leaf, these can still sell for a nice premium, especially if they are in good, uncirculated condition. It's a reminder to always look closely at the lettering on your coins. Sometimes the smallest mistake can create the most interesting story and value. And then there are the presidential dollars. From 2007 to 2011, the motto E pluribus unum, the date and the mint mark were inscribed on the edge of the coin. In 2007, a bunch of George Washington dollars were struck without any edge lettering at all. These became known as godless dollars because "In God We Trust" was also missing from the edge. These plain edge dollars created a huge buzz. They can be worth $50 or more. The mint fixed the problem, but not before thousands got out. It just goes to show you that even the newest coins can have valuable secrets. You don't need a high-tech lab to check your coins. Most of the time, all you need are a few simple tools and your own eyes. The most important tool in your arsenal is a good magnifying glass. I'm not talking about some cheap plastic thing. Get a decent jeweler's loupe with 5 or 10 times magnification. This will help you see the fine details like mint marks, doubling on a die, or small cracks and errors that you would otherwise miss. A good light source is also key. A desk lamp with a bright, clear bulb will make all the difference when you're staring at a coin for a few minutes, trying to see if that's a scratch or a valuable die crack. Next, you'll want a basic coin guide or a good app on your phone. Something like the Red Book, a guidebook of United States coins, is the Bible for coin collectors. It lists every US coin ever made, along with its mintage figures and approximate values. You don't need to memorize it, but having it as a reference is crucial. When you find a coin with an old date, you can quickly look it up to see if it's a common year or a rare key date. This is how you separate the wheat from the chaff. Knowledge is your most valuable asset, and a good reference book is a shortcut to that knowledge. Here's a simple process for checking your coins. First, sort them by denomination, then go through one stack at a time. Look at the date first. Anything before 1965 for dimes and quarters is a great start. Check the edge. If it's a solid silver color with no copper line, you've got silver. For pennies, look for anything before 1959, the wheat pennies, and especially the 1943 steel cents. For nickels, check the dates for the 1942 to 1945 war nickels. This first pass is quick and helps you pull out the obvious winners right away before you dig deeper into the rest. After the initial sort, take a closer look at the remaining coins with your magnifying glass. This is where you hunt for the errors and varieties. Look at the date and letters for any signs of doubling. Check for anything that looks off: missing elements, strange die cracks, or mismatched metals. If you find something interesting, take a clear picture of it and compare it to known errors online. There are tons of websites and collector forums where people share their finds and help newcomers identify them. Don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion. The community is part of the fun. The most important thing to remember is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. You might search through a whole box of quarters and find nothing but face value. That's okay, it's part of the process. The real treasure hunters, the ones who make the amazing finds, are the ones who are persistent. They enjoy the process of looking, the quiet focus of the search. Every roll of coins is a new lottery ticket, a new chance at finding something incredible. The thrill isn't just in the finding, it's in the looking. It's the possibility that keeps you going. So, how do you start? Here's a simple week-by-week strategy. Week 1, just focus on the change you get in your daily life. Every coin you get, put it aside in a jar. At the end of the week, sit down and look through it. Week 2, go to the bank and buy 5 rolls of pennies. They're cheap, and they have some of the most famous errors. Search through them. Week 3, try 5 rolls of nickels or dimes. By week 4, you'll have a feel for it. You'll have looked at hundreds of coins and your eyes will be getting sharper. It's about building a habit. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is ignoring dirty, grimy, or toned coins. Don't do that. Some of the oldest and most valuable coins are the ones that look the worst because they've been in circulation for a century. That dark, ugly quarter might be a 90% silver barber quarter from 1912. That grimy penny might be a rare date from the 1920s. Never, ever clean your coins. You can damage the surface and destroy most of their value. A professional knows how to conserve a coin, but for a collector, original toning and even a little dirt is part of its history. An ugly coin can be a beautiful find. In the end, this hobby is for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you have. The coins are out there. All it takes is a little bit of knowledge, a curious mind, and the patience to look. The golden rule is simple. Always check your change before you spend it. You are the last line of defense before a rare coin gets lost again for another 50 years. So keep your eyes open. That little piece of metal in your hand could be more than just a coin. It could be history. It could be a story. And it could be your very own treasure. You never know what's going to come through that door.